Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV, where I'm privileged to be joined by the creative team of the Titan comic Blade Runner 2029. We have the inimitable Jeff Connor from Alcon. How you doing, mate?
Doing great. Happy to be here and looking forward to a fruitful discussion.
Very happy to have you here, mate. We have the one and only, the mighty Mike Johnson, the creative engine room of this title, the author of Blade Runner 2029. How are you, man?
I'm great. It's good to see you, and fruitful discussion. I like it.
It's always good to see you, brother. And last but not least, of course, the mighty editor of Blade Runner 2029, the one, the only, the three biggest names in British comics, David Manley Leach.
Hi, Andrew. How are you? Hi, everyone else.
Good.
Good to see you all.
Very good to see you all. Now we're here to talk about the ongoing title Blade Runner 29, and specifically the new arc in this best-selling series, which is introduced with issue 5, which will be on sale on June the 30th, 2021. So guys, Mike, what can you tell us in terms of the timeline of Blade Runner 29? Where does issue 5 fit, and what is happening?
Yeah, so in the first 4 issues, our first arc, we saw the rise of this replicant named Jotun, who is a Nexus 6 replicant that has somehow managed to survive long after his expiration date. And over the last decade of Blade Runner time, he's been building out his own underground replicant rebellion, unbeknownst to both the powers that be in the city and unbeknownst to our lead character, Ash, our favorite Blade Runner. And issue number 4 ended with Jotun making his biggest splash, which is actually a pun because he blows up the seawall, protecting Los Angeles from the rising tides. And essentially, and Jeff put it this way, decapitated the political elite of the city, so that more than ever before, Los Angeles is a place of chaos. And within that chaos, Jotun seeks to cement his authority and completely turn the relationship between replicants and humans upside down.
Oh man, that I'm already excited by that description alone. And speaking of the concept of exciting, big guy, what makes Blade Runner 2029 so interesting and exciting for you to work on?
I've been a huge Blade Runner fan since 1982 when I first saw the film. I love Blade Runner. It's just sort of it's one of those films I could probably quote every line of dialogue to you. You know, I just adore it. So I've loved what Mike's been doing with it right since issue 1 of Blade Runner 2019. I'm along for the ride. For me, it's just I'm in that unique position where I get to see the script. I'm the first person to see the script after Mike's written it. You know, I get to see the layouts come in first. I get to see the pencils. I get to see everything first. That's fantastic. I just adore this journey. It's just exhilarating, and getting a chance to see this world that Mike's creating. It's a fantastic privilege. I just love it. Absolutely love it. That's it. I'm a terrible fawning fanboy. I don't know what else to say. It's sort of you know, I just like it. Jesus is Blade Runner. What more do you want? Jesus.
So true, brother. So true, brother. I don't think and I think it's not just the fact that it's Blade Runner. It's the fact that you guys collectively have just done such an amazing job with this series. You've really delivered something that honors the memory of and extends the universe. I mean, I've read a lot of licensed comics in my life, and most of them are deeply disappointing, but this very much feels like part of Blade Runner.
The big reason for that is not only having a partner in Titan and my dear editor, Mr. Manley Leach, but having a partner in Jeff at Alcon, who is there to protect the franchise and protect the brand and make sure everything is in sync with what Blade Runner should be, but has been open to the new ideas that we've brought up in the comic and looks to say yes as opposed to no. And how can the franchise be spurred onwards? How can it evolve and not get stagnant? So bringing new ideas in, bringing new characters in, but at the same time making sure they feel like they belong in the Blade Runner universe uniquely.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
been a great working relationship.
Oh, well, thanks so much. You know, the original novel was from 1968, and then the film was from 82. And I think sort of the strength of the franchise is Philip K. Dick's source material, where he, like a lot of science fiction, is dealing with concepts of the present, themes that are happening now, but through the lens of the future, using that as a framing device. And that still holds true, and it allows us to explore these new areas and address new themes and stay current, but also true to what Blade Runner is. And you know what Andres is doing, you know, on the art side,
Yeah.
you know, it's inspired the way he's using the films as a jumping off point and expanding that vocabulary as well.
Yeah.
So it's not, you know, it's not like we have a checklist of things that we have to do. It's really about exploration and expression.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Andrews is such a fantastic artist. I think he's and every issue he draws, he just gets better and better. It's, I mean, we're talking about issue 5. I'm working on issue 7 at the minute. I get to see, you know, and watching his artwork come in, it's extraordinary. He just captures Blade Runner. He captures that essence of it. You know, it's sort of, but he's not slavish to it. It's not as if he's like, oh, I'm drawing this scene from the film. He takes the film as inspiration and then runs with it in ways which are, it feels like a progression. It doesn't feel, that's the great thing about this comic. It doesn't feel like a fan service. It doesn't feel like that at all. It just feels like a progression. It feels like we set the world up. Now we're going to, you know, now we're playing in this world. That's what, for me, makes it so exhilarating. I think it's Andrews's artwork. It's Mike's words that they work so well together. There really is it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Lucky writer.
Yeah, very lucky editor.
Well, I think it's so great that the creative team has been able to maintain this level and expand this level for such a long time. You know, stay on. You know, a lot of artists, writers, they jump from book to book. You know, they're very fickle, but the commitment to the world is, I think, large part responsible for how good the quality is, because you have that continuity.
Yeah, and I think the response from fans has been great because, you know, we're now so invested in Ash and her story. When we first started the 2019 series, there was the trepidation of how will people respond to a new Blade Runner. And now the response has been so great, especially on a second series. The fans are invested in Ash, but we are invested in Ash as creators and making sure we tell her story in the best way we can. And yeah, we want to see her story through to the end.
Now on that note, it's something we were talking about in the office the other day. The big guy and I were talking about this. It is, did she seem any different to you, Mike, in her 2029 incarnation compared to 2019? How do you say she's been changed by the journey she's been on?
I think she's softened some of her hard edges because she's in a relationship with Frasier. So she's opened herself up. She's more vulnerable than she was. Or maybe she's not trying to hide her vulnerability as much now as she was in 2019. Obviously, since the first issue of 2019, we showed her with, I wouldn't say a hatred of replicants, but just a perception of them as nothing more than machines. And over the course of the 2019 series, we saw her opinion of replicants change, her opinion of the relationship between humans and replicants change and evolve to the point that now she's romantically involved with a replicant in Frasier. So what hasn't changed, I think, is Ash's bit of a cynical view. I'm trying to keep the noir in it, to be honest with you. Like, and I think there's a healthy dose of cynicism in all noir that I would not want Ash to lose. So she's very much still the detective, and the way that she interacts with people is the same. But yeah, I think we're seeing more of her heart than we saw previously.
That's very interesting. I guess you have to walk that fine line between showing her heart, but as you say, not betraying the genre itself and staying within that genre, which is the fundamental law of the series, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So do you ever think you could see a situation in which Ash, unlike many of the replicants and unlike many of the Blade Runners we've been exposed to in the movies, could you ever see a place in which Ash would find a happy ending?
Oh yeah, I think so. And I think I actually think part of noir is teasing that a happy ending is possible and desired by everybody. It just doesn't happen very often. So there's always that carrot out there for characters to chase, but so often in noir is about the stick. And I think for Ash, there's definitely a future where the violence, she leaves the violence of her life and her job behind, I think. But whether that actually happens, we have to see.
Of course, of course.
When you're looking at classic noir, there's often a theme of fatalism, and that the protagonist is sort of the instigator of their own fate through some kind of weakness or bad choice. But there's also other noirs where a character, usually female actually, is drawn into the dark world and at the end manages to escape, and that the status quo is restored. You know, the daughter returns, the husband wasn't unfaithful after all, or, you know, everyone's going to forget about that murder. So it, you know, both can happen. And I think it's the proto noirs, or not the neo noirs, more recent noirs, that are just so unbearably grim. You know, a hopeless cry of bitter grief, and
Yeah.
I think that substitutes for a more nuanced look at life.
And we have to follow the movies too. I mean, both movies have mixed endings. So spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't seen Blade Runner or Blade Runner 2049 and you're watching this, thank you for watching. But you should go watch the movie.
You should really go and watch the film. Yeah.
2019, obviously, Rachel and Deckard are in a dangerous position. You know, they have to go on the run, but they're together. 2049 ends with Kay dying, but
We
Deckard
think.
reunites
Yeah,
with his
I never
brother.
thought he died.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
that's so
Spoiler alert.
interesting. I thought he died.
He's just
Yeah.
taking a nap.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
just in
yeah.
the snow.
Just having a nap in the snow.
Yeah, he's
A
having
nap in the
we've
snow.
all done there. We've all been there.
Who
We've
doesn't
all
love a
done
nap in the snow?
No, Fraser's showing up just a second after the fade out.
That's right. With a new eyeball. So I, you know, whatever the end of Ash's story will be, and we have discussed it, should be in keeping with the spirit of the movies, I think.
That's wonderful. Guys, before we close out, introducing this glorious new arc for Blade Runner 2029 that begins with issue 5. I'd like to go back to the original movie for 1 second and ask all of you, who is your favorite character from Blade Runner itself? Jeff, I'll start with you, mate.
Wow. Well, I do like Deckard. I mean, I think he's an interesting guy, but I like Sebastian as well. I think he's really, really interesting, and I'd like to know more about what his deal is. So, you know, it's hard to have favorites, but he's someone I'm very interested in.
Yeah. How about yourself, big guy?
I'm a big fan of Taffy.
Yeah.
Hey,
Really?
dipshit. Hey, Louis, get the man a drink. He's dry.
How about you, Mike?
Oh, it's got to be Roy Batty. I just think I think it's, in a lot of ways, it's his movie, and he's the heart and soul. And I think in writing Blade Runner, a lot of the themes that I end up writing about, and the tone even, comes from Roy and from Rutger Hauer's performance.
I think that is a glorious trifecta of answers on which to wrap up this introduction to the next arc of Blade Runner 2029, beginning with issue 5, which will be on sale June 6th, 2021. And you can pre-order that issue and all issues of Blade Runner from the links attached to this interview.
Button.
Yeah, hit the buttons right here.
Smash that button, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. What was that word you use? A hopeless cry of phrase you use, a hopeless cry of bitter grief. That for me is maybe the takeaway description of contemporary noir. That I'm a person who edits like noir books, so you know you've introduced me to a new phrase that I'm somehow going to work in. I love it. I love it, Jeff.
And a perfect
thank you.
description of making a description of making comic books. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It
no,
fits
you're not
up many
wrong.
situations.
Yeah, no, a perfect description of creating comic books for the majors over the last 60 years, unless you're Stanley. You know what I mean? A hopeless cry of bitter grief. Yeah, the comic creator story from the 20th century. And on that bleak and unremitting note, which is quite strange given what a jolly conversation we've had, come and join us again at Forbidden Planet TV. We'll be talking to these guys again soon about the collected edition of the first volume of Blade Runner 2029. So until then, take care, guys. It's lovely to see you all.
Yeah, you too.
Great.
Good to see you.
All right,
Thank
see
you.
you.
Bye-bye. If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.